and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me is the Princess of Meepleton,
Sarah.
and today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Monarch. Sarah, tell us a little bit about this game.
All right. Monarch is a card drafting and set collection game set in a fantastical medieval world where sisters are vying for the throne. So, Will, how does this game change for two players?
So, the rule changes for two players are found on the back of the books. They're not referenced anywhere in the middle of the book as you're learning the game, so make sure to take a look at that. There are two main rule changes. One of the cards that improves the resources are land cards. Well, in a two-player game, the first one each turn you can put out for absolutely no cost. It's just free.
Nice.
That helps move the game along and make sure our resources aren't stuck. The second change is there are banner cards. These are special ability kind of banners that you can get for meeting certain requirements. Having a certain number of cards with certain symbols, you get it. It gives you scoring opportunities and as well an ability. Now, in a normal game, you can only get one of those. In a two-player game, you are allowed to have two.
Right.
So that makes each player a little bit more powerful if you manage to grab the banners.
If you do. So the good news, though, those are the only two changes, albeit wish it had been referenced anywhere during setup, but that's okay. At least it's on the back of the book. And there is no bot, so unfortunately...
No Princess Nanaman?
No Princess Nanaman.
Oh, it's okay, Nanaman. You'll be a princess some other game.
Yes. So some of the issues you could experience in a two-player game will be, and this is the same for a lot of games that play at two players, is there's a large deck and you're just not going to cycle through as many of those cards. So since there are 4 different factions plus some unaligned cards, if you're trying to go for culture or might or whatever,
and it's at the bottom of the deck,
it's just not going to show up. So, I mean, there is a mechanism within the game that you can pay to clear the row, but you have to have then the money to do so. Whereas in a more player game, it will just more frequently move because people will be taking their turns, taking cards, and it will be refilling.
And one of the banner abilities does give you a free clear the row. So if one of the players gets that particular banner, I believe it's the might banner, you can see a lot more of the cards.
Yeah.
But every card is individually unique, so therefore, yes, I think it's partly so that you get a little bit more replayability if you don't see all the cards.
Right. And then the only other thing is that some cards just function a little better at the higher player counts. Mostly it's the moon cards and the unwanted guests. Well, especially the unwanted guest, because if you only have 2 players, you only have one other person you can give an unwanted guest to, so there's just no choices. And if they happen to come out a lot on one person's turn, they're going to give them to the other person if possible. So it can feel a little one-sided, and the moon cards often require paying a cost collectively, and if you only have 2 people to pay the cost is not variable based on the number of players.
No.
It's a set pay X.
Yes.
So if you have 4 people sitting at the table, potentially it's going to be easier to pay that.
Right. However, the flip side to it is the fact that it's easier to create a better resource generation out on the table, so the 2 players are a little bit richer than, say, an individual player in one of the higher player counts.
Yeah, and so the positives to a 2-player game are, in my mind, both the things that you change in setup, being able to put out a free land improvement, like you said. It just makes the board a lot richer, and we have played this with 4, and the land area did feel like it grew slower than when we played it 2-player. But that, it's also a different feeling with 4 players. Yeah. And then being able to have 2 banners, if you can get 2 banners, it is very much more rewarding.
And I will say, thanks to the changes for a 2-player game, this game does move quickly. It doesn't languish on the table. So you also get a fairly nice, fast experience. In fact, it's probably fast enough that I can see a lot of people using this as actually a filler game rather than a main meaty game.
At 2 players, because at 4 players, it can go longer.
Right.
But at 2 players, this is definitely goes faster than what's printed on the box. I feel like the last game we played was, I know it was less than a half hour. It was like maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It went really fast, which is good in that it won't overstay its welcome. So if you are having a poor experience because you're the one getting all the unwanted guests because the other person keeps giving them to you. Yeah, I was pointing at you.
There's no other Nanaman over there, so.
Yeah, Nanaman was not the one who kept giving me all those unwanted guests.
It could be.
Anywho.
Accessibility?
Yes, let's move on to accessibility. Okay, there are 2 different resources, so thankfully that's pretty simple. There is food, which is an apple, and coins, which is, well, just a gold coin. The downside is the 5s are the exact same size and exact same shape. However, the good news is the 1s then are smaller, so you can at least tell the 1 apple from the 5 apple and the 1 coin from the 5 coin. So you just have to keep these separated, like put the food on the left side of your court and put the money on the right side of your court. But it would have been nice if maybe the apples actually were shaped like apples, or at least some other shape like square would have been good.
Yeah. As far as open information, though, everything is open.
Yes, so that is a really good aspect to the game, and that's doubly good because these are the land tiles, and the icons down at the bottom are very, well, tiny, because I'm sure from there you can hardly see them. So if these are in the middle of the board, they're really, really hard to see from a distance. And so that is unfortunately a negative. My suggestion is just to keep the land area, which this becomes a 3x3.
Yeah.
So you have a 3x3 grid of these. Just keep them close to somebody who hopefully has the best eyesight. And the same for the location cards that these cards get. They go on top of those land cards. They're also small. Their layout is exactly the same as the land tiles. So unfortunately, that also means that this little apple, which again, there's another accessibility issue. It's black text on a red background, which could be very difficult for some people. So other cards are generally a bit more readable. I mean, it's the black on the different backgrounds are pretty good. They do use different colors. The mite cards would be the next most difficult. That's really awkward to say.
Yes.
Black on red again. It is a more pale red, but again, as Will said, all the information, all these cards are face up. So if someone is having difficulty reading them, then hopefully someone else can help with that.
Yeah, there was actually almost a difficulty when it came to figuring out what cards correspond to other things, because there are certain abilities like gain 1 point for this type of card. Now, the icon for that card to show what it is hidden in the background of the art.
Yeah.
Now, that would have been a problem if it wasn't completely obvious contextually what the cards were going after. Like, if it goes after animals, you know a dog's an animal. You know the monkey on the or ostrich? Yeah,
there was an ostrich in there.
I thought the monkeys were riding it. Monkey riding ostrich?
Yes, it was monkeys riding ostriches.
You know those are animals.
Right.
So contextually, you can figure out what it is, and you don't really need to know or
be able to see it. Yeah, so this, for example, again, you probably can't see it, but behind the text at the bottom is the outline of a gown. Well, thankfully, it says Dragon Phoenix gown. And so all of the dresses that would need to know this icon behind the text, the good news is a dress or gown or something other appropriate, it's very obvious from the name of the card. So again, I don't have one of the animal ones, but it's very much the same thing.
Yeah, but the Beastmaster asks for animals, the Wardrobe Master asks for gowns. It's that sort of thing. But you know what it is because it's a gown, it's an animal, it's perfectly clear.
Right. So there are some challenges with the graphic design choices that were made, but like we said, everything is open information. So as long as you do have someone who is close to the land board and someone who's close to the row of cards can help whoever it is that, can't see those color issues or maybe have difficulty reading that text where it's, black on red. So, yeah.
Okay. So as far as a 2-player, would you recommend this?
I would say this is a maybe. I can't say yes for sure. I can't say no for sure. It is a mixed bag only because that large deck of not going through it and not being able to find the combinations could feel very frustrating. But the things that it changes for a two-player experience makes it so much better. The game goes faster, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. So you can have a bad turn or a bad round, or the whole game could be falling apart for you, but it takes 20 minutes. And even then, I think our scores were not that far apart.
No.
So it wasn't like I was losing by a lot. It was just frustrating not to be able to get this because this never showed up. So again, for me, it's a mixed bag. There's a lot that the game does to speed up a two-player experience. So this could be just perfectly fine.
Personally, I like it as a two-player game, but with that said, I like it as a two-player filler game.
Yeah.
And keep that expectation kind of on that low side. I like how it's something that we can pull out, play. I'm not too heavily challenged by immense amount of choices or anything. It's a very simple game. It's a very light game. Therefore, it's a very filler game for me, especially at the two-player count.
Yeah, if you come at it with this is that game you either start the night with or end the night with, and you just want a relaxing time of collecting cards and creating your menagerie and court, then yeah, you're going to enjoy this.
Accessibility-wise.
That is also a little mixed, but I will say for the most part, yes, with help. It's all open information, so as long as you've got somebody with really good eyesight or several people with really good eyesight, you're going to be able to play this game.
Yeah, and as far as accessibility for me, I might have mixed up my money and food once.
Yeah.
But it's an easy enough game to keep track of, know what's going on. I never felt lost. I never felt overwhelmed or anything. So it is, and because of it's all open information, it's very very easy to access with what's here. So yes, accessible. All right. Hopefully you found any or all of that helpful. And if you want to get a hold of us because you have any questions or concerns, you could do that by going to our social media at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Please like and subscribe.
And why would you ever want to roll with just one when you could be rolling with two?